Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every person's life when they fall, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and even financially. The question is never if you will fall. The question is, how will you fall? Most people fall backward. They fall into fear, into regret, into self-pity. But today I challenge you to do something different. Fall forward. Ladies and gentlemen, life is a journey filled with highs and lows, victories and defeats, successes and failures. Many people celebrate their wins but become paralyzed by their losses. They let failure define them, dictate their future, and determine their self-worth. But today I have a message for you. Failure is not final. Failure is not the end. Failure is not your identity. It is a lesson. You see, most people fear failure because they have been taught that to fail is to be inadequate, incapable, or unworthy. Society conditions us to believe that failure is shameful, something to hide or avoid at all costs. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever met a great leader who never failed? Have you ever read about a world changer who never made mistakes? Have you ever seen a successful person who never stumbled? The answer is no, because failure is not a mark of defeat. It is the price of progress. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has had moments of failure. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not the absence of failure, but the ability to learn from it. Failure is a teacher. It reveals what you need to change, what you need to improve, and what you need to let go of. Some people take failure personally, allowing it to crush their confidence. But wise people take failure as an education. They study their mistakes, extract the wisdom, and move forward stronger than before. Think about a child learning to walk. When a baby takes their first steps, they fall. Over and over again, they stumble. But what do? They get back up. They keep trying. And one day, without even realizing it, they are walking confidently. Why? Because they did not let their falls define them. They did not decide walking is too hard, I will just stay down. No, they learned from every fall and used it to strengthen their steps. Yet, as adults, we forget this simple truth. We become afraid of failure, we hesitate to take risks, we refuse to step into new opportunities because we are scared of falling. But let me tell you today, the greatest tragedy is not falling. The greatest tragedy is staying down. Some people have allowed one failure to define their entire lives. They failed in business and never tried again. They failed in relationships and swore off love forever. They failed in their dreams and settled for mediocrity. But hear me well. Failure only has power over you if you give it permission. There are people in this world who failed more times than they succeeded, yet they are celebrated today as pioneers, inventors, and leaders. The difference is not that they never fell. The difference is that they fell forward. They used their failure as a bridge to their future, not as a barrier to their destiny. The truth is, failure is not the enemy, fear is. Fear convinces you that falling means you are unworthy. Fear whispers that mistakes mean you are not good enough. Fear tells you to stop trying because you might fail again. But let me tell you something. Fear is a liar. The people who live by fear will always be controlled by it. But those who live by faith will always rise above it. So today I want you to shift your mindset. Stop seeing failure as a dead end. Start seeing it as a lesson. Stop seeing your mistakes as proof that you are not capable. Start seeing them as proof that you are learning. Because every failure contains the seeds of wisdom. Every mistake holds the keys to success. And every fall has the potential to propel you to a greater level. When you understand this truth, you will no longer run from failure. You will embrace it, learn from it, and allow it to shape you into the person you were destined to become. Because failure is not final, it is a lesson. Life has a way of knocking us down. At some point, every one of us will face failure, disappointment, rejection, or an unexpected setback. And when that moment comes, we have two choices: to let the fall break us or to let it build us. We can either allow failure to paralyze us in fear, regret, and shame, or we can use it as fuel to propel us towards something greater. The problem is that many people do not know how to fall properly. When they stumble, they fall backward into despair, into self-pity, into bitterness. They retreat, they shut down, and they convince themselves that they are not good enough. They let their failure define them instead of refine them. They let their mistakes become a prison instead of a platform. But listen to me, your fall should propel you, not paralyze you. Falling is inevitable, but staying down is a choice. Too many people allow one failure to cripple their entire future. They make a bad financial decision and think they will never recover. They experience one failed relationship and decide love is not for them. They attempt something new, stumble once and tell themselves they are not capable. But hear me well. Failure is not a sign to stop. It is a sign to grow. Think about an archer. When an archer wants to launch an arrow, what do? They pull the arrow backward. The tension, the resistance, the pressure, it all feels like a setback, but what happens next? That same resistance is what gives the arrow its power to soar forward. The farther back it is pulled, the farther forward it will fly. Your failure is not meant to keep you back. It is meant to prepare you for the launch. The problem is that most people see failure as a wall instead of a doorway. They think their mistakes are a full stop when in reality they are a comma. Just because you fell does not mean your story is over. Just because you lost one battle does not mean you have lost the war. But the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is a decision. A decision to see their fall as fuel instead of failure. If you have ever watched an eagle teach its young how to fly, you will notice something interesting. The mother does not keep the baby eagle in the comfort of the nest forever. No, she pushes it out. She lets it fall. Why? Because she knows something that the baby does not. The fall is the process that teaches it to fly. If the baby resists the fall, if it refuses to spread its wings, it will never soar. It will live below its potential, grounded in fear, because it never learned that the very thing it was afraid of, the fall, is what would give it strength.